Hey guys, in today's video, we are talking with professional actor Wes Wing, who is a foreign actor in Japan. And in today's video, he's going to give us 5 tips on how to be an actor. Coming up. So Wes, you've been in a couple of shows. One of them being Grand Maizen,
Yes.
Tokyo, and it's currently running commercial for McDonald's. What has it been like for you, and can you talk about some of that?
Yeah. I guess should I start from the beginning or?
Yeah, just start from the beginning. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I moved. Officially became a resident in Tokyo. Back in 2018, in March 2018. So it's almost been 2 years now. And when I first got here, when I was living in the States, in California, I was a soccer coach, and trying to secure full-time work just off the plane was a little bit difficult. Finding something full-time. I was doing part-time coaching and stuff like that, and trying to get in at certain places. And so I registered at basically in Japan, it's a little different. You register for an agency, and then they just kind of shop you out, kind of thing. And obviously, being a foreign face, a Western face, there's a lot of opportunities there. And so I basically just went in and registered. I never done any acting before, really. Yeah, I just kind of walked in there. I didn't even have a portfolio, really. I didn't have photos. I just had some photos from Facebook that I thought looked good. And so you're totally going in amateur hour kind of thing. And so I went into this one place, this agency that I'm with. It's called, probably the one that gets me the most work, that I work with a lot, is Freewave. And it's an agency here in Tokyo that they specialize in foreigners. Like, they have a large selection of musicians, narrators, actors, models, talent, as they say. And yeah, so I just kind of signed up, not knowing what to expect, or it was just, and they took photos of me right there in the studio, and they kind of put together a little portfolio for me real quick. And that was it. That's how I got my start. And then a few weeks later, all of a sudden I was getting emails for just different jobs. They email you, and they ask you if you're available. And you kind of, the scheduling, maybe we can get to that later. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. But it took a while to actually land my first job. There's a lot of rejection. A lot of rejection. A lot of people think when they come to Japan to do acting or modeling, they think that it's easy because they need foreign faces and blah, blah, blah. But it's actually getting quite competitive. There are a lot of people who are pretty well established here. A lot of foreigners who kind of have the corner, and it's a lot more competitive than you think. It's all about if you have the look they're looking for. And you don't necessarily have to be like a super good looking guy or anything, or a good looking girl. They look for all shapes and sizes and ages. It's actually, if you're in your 40s, 50s, that's probably where, as a male, that's where you get a lot of the jobs. They're looking just for the average Joe. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
and that's the big difference that I've noticed between voice acting and acting is when you're an actor, you're limited to your appearance.
Yeah.
But with voice acting, if you can sound like a 40-year-old man and you're a 17-year-old kid, and you could get the role, or you could be a 50-year-old guy playing a teenager, or playing an old person, or maybe even playing a tiny kid, or even a baby. And that's what I've noticed the differences between acting and voice acting is you don't have those limitations as a voice actor,
right?
And you do as an actor. Now, of course, everybody wants to be on the big screen. Everyone wants to be shown what they look like, who they are. And it's definitely a lot competitive. So it was a great point that you hit right there,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Can you
But
talk? Can you talk a little bit? Go ahead. Go ahead. You're fine.
oh no, I was just gonna say, but that's the thing that's it's a little interesting about Japan is that it doesn't really matter what you look like to be on screen. You can get a lot. They always look. They're looking. Like I said, it just depends on the role. It's about if you have the look they're looking for. They just don't go out and pick the for modeling. Yes, obviously, they go out and they pick the guy who's gonna look great in a suit. And but for like for if you're doing something like a TV show or a commercial, it's just do you fit the look of what they want in that scene or whatever it might be. Like they need a foreigner, eating a sandwich in the background. Maybe they want him to look a certain way, or she to look a certain way, or her. It just depends. So if you are looking to come to Japan as to do acting, you can get the jobs if you just fit the look that they're looking for. And if you can be
Definitely.
flexible. Being flexible is a big thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, do you have a daytime job too, or are you just making your income off of acting?
No, recently. So, okay, yeah. So, I guess I'll get back to kind of what I was doing before. I'll kind of give my story here. Let's see. So, before I got my first job, I was coaching soccer. And then when I managed to land a job last year, it was last spring of last year, just a few months after I got here, I managed to land a job teaching at an international school. I was teaching health and fitness, and I was basically like a PE teacher, fitness instructor, and health teacher. And
That definitely sounds like you.
yeah.
Okay.
And so I did that for a school year. I did that from August of last year to June of this last summer. And so I was doing that. And then this summer, I wanted to try to get into coaching more. I wanted to be more flexible to coach more and kind of see where my career would go. Meanwhile, I was kind of, doing these odd jobs, but it was kind of slow on the acting part. So I left. I took a risk, and I gave my notice at the school. And I didn't stick around. Yeah, because I wanted to go coaching full time.
Sometimes you gotta take a risk.
You gotta make the jump. And then coaching was going pretty well there for a while, and then it's recently the last few months it's slowed down. So all of a sudden I just kind of started pushing more, like giving more availability to the managers and the agents who work at the agencies, and showing up more and just kind of putting more effort into it. And recently it's landed me some jobs recently. So as it's been so as of late, I've been most of my income has been coming from the acting jobs.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. So for those of you who don't know, Wes and I actually do know who each other are personally. We used to live in the same town. And I remember reading the article in the newspaper for our town that you took Pacheco High into to what was it, the top 100 in the nation?
I think on the
teams?
rankings we were like 97 or something like that. And then
there's a lot of high schools in the United States.
Around 40,000 or something like that.
Yeah, so keep that in mind,
Yeah.
people. He led a team.
I mean, I don't know if that holds up. That's like Max Prep's rankings, but we did that year. I mean, we did win the section championship that year, but I don't know what would have happened if they actually did have a state. California's so big, it's hard to tell.
Oh yeah, it's huge,
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Especially if you're north of the Grapevine.
Yeah.
That's where a majority of all the.
Yeah.
Well, no, if you're south of the Grapevine, that's mostly where a large amount of the population pretty much is. But so anyways, leading into our first question
Yes.
is how do you build a portfolio?
Oh, geez. The first thing you got to do is just get some good headshots. Just go out, kind of give him a little bit of angles. And if you're a guy, this goes for male or female, but speaking to guys specifically, try to get like clean shaven and also maybe a little bit of stubble, or if you can do a beard, it's a little bit more dynamic. They see that you have more than just one look. So I'd recommend you need about maybe 8 to 10 good pictures of just different angles and stuff like that. That's the first thing. But if we're talking, this is all in the context of in Japan, right? I don't know anything about L.A. or about Hollywood, but
Oh yeah, it's the media entertainment capital of the entire world.
right.
So it's on a way different level than Japan is, but still,
Right.
the art of acting is still art of acting wherever you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, absolutely. And some people think. I mean, there are some pretty famous actors who got their start in acting in Japan. I believe Edward Norton got his start here.
No way.
Yeah, Edward Norton.
I think
his
played
father,
in America.
I can't remember, but I think like his father had. I could be wrong about this, but it's something like his father did something in shipping or something like freighting, in Osaka. I can't remember exactly, but I think he lived in Japan for a time, and he actually started acting in Japan first. Yeah.
Yeah, American Psycho or American History X,
Yeah.
and then you got Fight
do
Club,
not
iconic
talk about
movie,
Fight
and then
Club.
he played the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Too. So wow, that's who Edward Norton is.
Yeah.
Okay, so how moving on from portfolio into okay, once you get your portfolio
Yeah.
done, then you could start sending it in, and that helps you get the audition. But is there anything extra in there that a lot of people might not know?
I mean, there's a lot of things you could always be doing extra. From my experience, if you want to know how to get jobs doing this without trying, you can come to me because it was always
Okay.
kind of an afterthought. I wasn't ever actually setting out to be an actor. I just knew that they needed foreign faces for things. So I was like, oh, it could be extra money. I may as well take a shot at it. But if you're really gonna go for it, social media, they're always influencing. The influencer thing is becoming pop. They're always looking for those at agencies. So definitely keeping up with your Instagram every day, always posting photos at shoots and stuff like that, what you can get away with. That's always good because they actually do look at that stuff and they'll link it. Like when the agencies shop you out, they might actually put like a link to your Instagram and people can check you out further. But always update your photos. Really, just try to the more jobs you get, the slower you're building your portfolio.
Of course,
right? So what I recommend is if you really want to go for it, make yourself available for every job. So basically when they offer you a job, they basically have three things. They have first keep, second keep, and NG. NG means no good. It means you definitely cannot make it to this job, or you can't do it.
Okay.
Or you won't.
Okay.
Second keep means you're not sure. You're not locked in, but you'll go to the audition or you'll offer your photos up for photo selection. First keep is you lock yourself in. What I found is the more you can give first keep, the more they'll offer you jobs. And then eventually it's all about, you got to pump those numbers, right? It's all about pumping numbers and spreading yourself out, and keeping track of your schedule, because you can't double book. Because if you give first keep here for this time and first keep there, I just had that happen actually. I made a mistake on something and it all turned out all good, but you want to avoid it. It just builds bad rapport with the agency. But they were really good about it, and I had already a good relationship with the one of the agents, so it was okay. But anyway, yeah.
So relationship, and connections, that really does play a big part too in how you can get a role. But it's not always the main thing. It is good for you to network,
Absolutely.
to build those relationships with those people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And especially, be
as nice as you possibly can.
Yes,
to
but
the
still
people
being you too.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you just be honest and be polite. That's another thing in Japan, is being polite and on time. All these things. When you show that you care about other people's time and you show that you care about other people in general, they tip. Most of the time, they'll think, oh, this is a good guy. Let's try to throw him a job or something like that. But
yeah, of course. Yeah.
They like working with you if you're professional.
Yeah, it shows not only your professionalism,
Yeah.
but it's showing you're not being selfish either. And it's
Right.
showing
Right.
them, hey, this is what I have to offer. I can offer you this, and in
Right.
return, you guys offer me this too.
Yeah.
Not in a sense of, because obviously they have more to offer
Yeah.
than you do when you're first starting out. I mean, unless you're like A-list celebrity, that does give a lot of edge, because a lot of people will go see a movie like if like The
Yeah.
Rock is in it,
Of
or
course.
Angelina Jolie, or you
Yeah.
got big name celebrities being in the movie. That does give an edge to it.
Yeah.
But as you're starting off, you really do have those obstacles in your way. So when you started doing auditionings and you got your first role, how should you prepare for your first role? What is the process like
Yeah.
for you?
Okay. So that's the thing though about Japan. It's sometimes it's really hard to prepare. Like I've gone into
Okay.
auditions for commercials or web advertisements or whatnot, and they don't really give you a lot of information what you're doing. They might have a brief description in the email for the job, but you
That
don't have they don't give you anything. Like so you'll go in and you're thinking, okay, you're thinking about all the things you should do to 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 not be bad at it, like to nail an audition. You're like, okay, just be yourself and just go for it. Don't be like, be real, and it won't come out as bad acting. And you're trying to set yourself up to not be corny, not be stupid, and just nail it. And then they'll tell you, okay, we need you to over exaggerate and be crazy and kooky. It's almost like kind of expect to be. They see Japanese people have a different expectation. They have different expectations
Okay.
from foreigners. So you're thinking you're going in there to be, like Peter O'Toole or something. and what they really want is you to be a clown. At times. I mean,
So they kind of are like, hey, we have this role. We want you to be like Jimmy Kimmel funny, or like, they kind of give you a base to start from, but they still want.
a lot of the times they just want you to be goofy. Like I think a lot of people see foreigners as kind of quirky. And
Okay.
and a lot of Japanese advertisements and dramas are overdone or over dramatic.
Oh yeah,
Whatever
big
it
time.
might be.
Big
Yeah,
time.
I mean, if anybody watches anime, probably understands that. But it's
Oh
even
yeah.
it's even
Oh yeah.
more.
It's got to sell the emotion.
Yeah, it's even more, and they kind of expect. They expect. It's just your expectations are different. So be prepared to just be kind of quirky and get outside your comfort zone and be goofy. Because if you go in thinking you're doing some method acting or you're going to be real serious and a straight guy, it's not gonna probably not gonna work out.
Probably not going to work.
But anyway, yeah. So the first show, to answer your question, sorry, I'm a long-winded person.
Oh no, you're fine.
I don't
You're
know
good.
how we're
You're
going to
good.
condense this, but
We'll find a way.
yeah, we'll just cut all of it out, most of it out.
We'll cut everything out that
We'll
we
just cut
don't need,
everything
and then we'll
out,
just
I'll
leave the
nod
important
and,
stuff.
and go, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
No, so the first job I ever got was summer of last year, 2018, and it was for a show called Unbelievable, and it's one of those classic Japanese shows where they, it's kind of like a dramatization, is that what you call it? When somebody reenacts an incident that happens. You know how you used to watch when you're a kid, like Rescue 911 or Dial 911 or whatever, or Unsolved Mysteries, where they had the reenactors. And so this one's about just unbelievable things.
They're pretty much acting out the scene from what the
story that's being told.
witnesses-
So there's a narrator telling a
Yes.
story. Yeah, exactly. And this is quite a popular show. This was my first job. And it was really funny because I had a lot of my soccer player students and my high school students looking up or telling, hey, were you
looking
on,
up
were you on Unbelievable last night?
in Japan. Yeah.
And
Okay,
it's kind of
okay.
funny because you don't really want your when you're coaching soccer, you don't want your players to know that you're, but
to see you, because then they start making fun of you and teasing
I
you or something?
underestimated the popularity of the show because I had
Wow.
I had a lot of screen time for that show because it was about, they were retelling a flight from the 80s that went wrong over Alaska. And I think they were flying from
Okay.
Alaska. They were supposed to fly from Alaska to Seattle. Anyway, there was this engine trouble. And I played one of the guy who gets the call on the ground control and I have to help redirect him and all this stuff, and I'm the one who gets the distress call. And so I got a lot of screen time for that. And basically it's really funny and surreal watching it, because basically what I have lines, like I'm talking a lot, but I'm dubbed over.
Yeah.
You can faintly hear me, but I'm dubbed over by this Japanese guy who does not fit my face at all. Like his voice doesn't fit.
Okay, like doesn't at all. Like, could
Yeah.
you give an example of how he sounded from,
It's
how did he sound?
マジだわかりません. It's just like I don't know. I can't even. It was just I can't describe it. I can't even really remember it off the top of my head right now, but I just thought it was really funny. It was entertaining to me. I think it's out there on YouTube. I'll have to find it, and maybe I can get you the clip so we can show it. But
Oh no, definitely.
it's pretty funny. And that was my first job, and it took a few months to land that job, and there was no audition for it. They just picked me from photo selection. It's like, yeah, we'll take this guy. And then I didn't, and that was it for a while. I didn't really do a lot in 2018. There were auditions and little things that fell through. A lot of things fall through, even if you get it. And then just recently,
And that's actually another thing that I know we had talked a little bit about before. Is that sometimes you'll get casted in a project, and then sometimes that project doesn't fall through, and that's a thing that a lot of people don't know.
doesn't follow through. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of projects that you're working on, you're busting your tail off for,
Yeah.
you're getting to the audition, you're getting casted, you're getting the role, and then somewhere either before it starts or midway through it doesn't follow through, and then boom, you're not credited for that material or that project that you worked on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's very unfortunate.
That does happen, and you don't even worse. You don't get paid.
Yes. That's the number one thing. Everyone's got to pay their bills, right?
Right.
So that's where
the whole reason I got into
flexibility-
this in the first place. But yeah, it's so yeah, there wasn't a lot of jobs, and then just this last year, just starting from the end of this summer, it started to kind of pick up. I did a shoot for a wedding company. They did like a Gatsby shoot. This was for modeling. This wasn't acting. It was kind of acting, but they basically thought that I looked like. They're like, oh, here's our equivalent of Tobey Maguire from The Great Gatsby, because they did a Gatsby themed. They're doing it was an advertisement for a Gatsby themed wedding, and it's just. Really funny. So they dressed us up like the Gatsby characters, and we did a shoot all day. I woke up like 4 a.m. We finished at like 7 or something like that p.m. And yeah, it was a long day.
That's all day.
And then I got picked up because I play the violin. They needed a violinist in the background, or like they needed somebody for this McDonald's commercial. And it's amazing. That's another thing. It's amazing how much time you put in to these things, and maybe you're seen as a split second.
Yeah, no, that makes a
yeah.
ton of sense. And you might be out there,
Yeah.
Recording different, because they always have scenes that they have prepared, they know for sure are going to make it to the final
Absolutely.
cut. And they might actually have
Absolutely.
you record another scene, and you're like, wow, I did, like this scene turned out really, really good. Everyone's going to like it. And then you find out it's not in the final cut.
Yeah,
And then you're just like, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I just was on Grand Meissen again last night.
Yeah, talk
and
about
we
that
were
a little
watching
bit.
it.
Talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of the big one that I had, because they asked me to return a lot. I was my character's like not a important character at all, like to the
He's
point
just
where anybody
backup
would notice.
character.
But I'm backup, yeah, but I'm an ongoing character because I work for one of the main characters, and I'm like an editor or something for her fashion company or magazine or whatever it might be. But yeah, so I was on last night, and there was 2 other foreigners with me in that shoot, and we worked all day. It was from 12 to 8:30, I think, that we shot in a studio. And luckily, I don't know why, maybe it's just where I was sitting, but I got a lot of FaceTime.
Oh, wow.
I got a lot of FaceTime.
Okay.
And But the other two people were kind of just as important and just as ongoing as I was, but they didn't really get a lot. Like, so that can happen. Like, you work all day, you're there all day, but you're there for 1 second, in the shot.
Totally understand. So
Yeah.
it's a
So-
very
Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead.
it's definitely I don't want to say that anybody really regrets going out there, because even if you're in there for a second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds, you're building those relationships with those actors, the crew, the directors, the producers.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
once they start seeing your face commonly often, the chances of you starting to get, bigger and more consistent roles starts to go a lot higher, because actually a lot of people don't understand is when you're auditioning, everybody wants to be the main character. Everybody wants to have all of that screen time, but sometimes they don't realize maybe auditioning for the minor characters might be the best option to secure yourself that you're getting a job, that you're finding that
for
work,
sure. Oh, yeah,
because there's not so much competition. So in the sense of like, working on the shows and working on commercials, what have you noticed has been the difference between them in the sense of the process, how it is doing it, getting it done? How long are you there for the days? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. So there's a lot of questions there, but I guess I'll start for the days. I mean, you can, like I said, you could be there all day, and you're only there for a split second. But the process is waiting around a lot, and then doing the same thing over. I mean, it depends on. I don't know how they do it in America, but I know with the shows here, they'll do one scene with just a few lines, and they'll record it from like 8 different angles. So they're repeating the same scenes over and over and over again. That's what takes most of the time. Like I said, the day I was at the studio, we did 2 scenes, and it took 4 hours for each of them. Yeah, and that's on a set in a controlled environment. Yeah, it's just wild. Another scene that we did, it only actually took a couple hours, and it was on location. We basically turned this telecom center into an airport, and that was really cool. That was a really cool experience because, and I think you saw that scene. That was the one I think I posted on Instagram where I'm behind the lady when we're walking and talking, and it looks like we're in an airport. That is not a real airport. And all those people had to bring their own luggage. They were all extra. Everybody, all the extras had to bring their own luggage. And it was just really cool to see that scene. It was all like frozen, basically, freeze frame. And then the director says action, and all of a sudden it comes to life. And it was really cool. It felt like we were in a real airport.
That's insane. How many people do you think were there if you were to guesstimate?
Ooh.
100?
There's over
200?
There's over 200. There's about 200 people.
Wow.
Maybe around 200 people.
And do they get any kind of like, payment? Like, are they just, or are they basically?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they'll be compensated for
That's
that.
good. That's great.
Yeah.
So the process
I
is
would hope so.
definitely different between commercials and shows, big time.
Yeah, it depends on what you're doing, but yeah, usually shows or commercials, they're trying to get it done real fast. Shows might be a little bit more thorough. They're gonna shoot from all these different angles. It really just depends on how the commercial is shot too.
Okay.
The commercial I did for McDonald's was,
Hey, my guy.
like, yeah, just one set basically, and they were doing one angle. And it was really simple. All we had to do was wait for the fog machine to kick in, and we were good.
Okay.
Yeah, but with shows, it's a little different. There's a lot more angles and a lot of stuff. I did a show last week where it was really simple. I think it was like a 4-hour shoot, and this was in a bank, and I shouldn't give out too much information here.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't air. Yeah, it doesn't air until April. But anyway, and it was just really simple stuff, but it took forever to do. It took about 4 hours just to get 2 scenes of a few lines, and that's just because they changed. They only on that particular shoot they only used like 2 cameras.
Okay.
At a time, and so they would take a shot, and then they would try to get it just perfect, and then they would have to move the camera somewhere else and and the actors had to do the exact same thing. Another thing that's kind of funky, I just wanted to throw this in there, that I've noticed, I don't know if this is maybe a TV show thing, because they're on more of a, because you know how when you watch like Hollywood films and you see blooper reels all the time?
Yeah,
You know,
I've always
where
wondered
everybody's
about
kind
that.
of loose and laughing and everything.
Yeah,
I have not seen that here.
yeah,
And
you
with
know
every
that
show
does
I've
make
been on-
sense. When I was a kid, I would watch that and be like, "Oh wow, that's so funny!" Like even professionals they mess up. But then like
Yeah.
I've worked with professional actors, and I've never seen them act like that. So I'm just like,
What's going on? Is it just is the blooper reel
is this,
scripted?
is this a
Like-
blooper reel, or
No.
did they tell you to mess up and then start laughing?
because the actors, the main actors in these shows are just spot on like every time. Mm-hmm. And they have to redo the scene the exact same way because of the different camera angles that they're trying to get.
Yes, of course.
And they nail it every time. And I think one person messed up one time, and there was like a little giggle, like, "Oh, my bad," but they kind of were stressed out about it a little bit.
Yeah, because you're under time restraints. You got to get
Yeah.
things done, in a hurry. You're wasting people's time, money. Yeah, of course. So they're just like, okay, I messed up. Let's go right back into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been doing this, for quite some time. To you and to a lot of people, you're still
Yeah,
very,
absolutely.
very new to a lot of this. So
Oh, for sure. I'm amateur all the way.
what in the experience that you have, what are 3 mistakes that you could tell somebody to be careful of so they don't make the same mistakes that you've done, or make mistakes that you've seen other people done that has really hindered their chances of getting into more projects or getting auditions or finding work in itself?
Yeah. One of them, the first one is, and this is for the people who are new.
Okay.
I have worked on some sets where I've worked with some newer people that actually newer than I was, and younger. And think it has a lot to do with them being younger. Like, you have a lot of the background for this is that you have a lot of students here coming on student visas, and then they'll act part-time.
Okay.
And so they'll be here studying, and they're not even out of college yet, and they're doing shoots and stuff. And a lot of times I just see they're just really unprofessional on set. And as far as just kind of don't really understand the weight of the situation. So the first mistake, I wouldn't say this is a mistake that I've necessarily made, but it's one I see a lot, so I'll throw it in there,
Okay.
is that just acting unprofessional, or talking to people you shouldn't be talking to, or taking selfies on set, or taking pictures maybe even with the actor or model that you're working with, and then posting it online on your Instagram. That's a no-no. That is a no-no.
It's got to be one of the biggest ones, because a lot of the actors that I talk to, they always say the same exact things. Now, they don't say it word for word like you did, but it's always like, when you're there, you're working. Get off your phone. Do not text. Do not take pictures.
Yeah.
You're serious until you hear the director say, "Okay, we're done. That's a wrap. It's a day." They want you to be there. They want you to get the job. They want you to get it done.
Yeah, definitely.
But if
there's a time and a place, but you have to know when that time and a place is.
100%. Okay, so number one mistake is not acting professional. What would be
Not
number
being
2?
professional. Yeah, just not understanding where you are.
Okay.
Just not comprehending it. And it's not like they're doing it on purpose. They just don't know. They're unprofessional.
Okay. What would be number 2?
Another mistake is, and I think maybe I said something about managing expectations, but manage your expectations when you're first starting out, because you can go into something, and like I said before, it'll be completely different. Like, they want you to be over dramatic. They want you, essentially, sometimes they want a bad actor.
Wow.
Or they want you to act like a bad actor, because that's their expectation of a foreigner using the Japanese language or doing an advertisement. Like, if you were to come here and watch a commercial, once in a while I see guys that I've worked with in commercials where they actually have some lines, and they might not speak Japanese well, but they have to say something in Japanese. And they want you to kind of be goofy and off the wall. Like, they want you to be like a cartoon character. And don't think you're going in to be this kind of serious. There's a time and a place for it. I mean, but for most things, manage your expectation of what the job is, and just be prepared to improvise.
Okay.
I had an audition just last week, and I didn't end up getting the job, but it was really close. I made the short list, and I felt like the audition went well, because basically I had 5 minutes to introduce myself to this guy who was supposed to be a first time. The description was, he's a first time English student who wants to go to London, so he wants to improve his English. You're an English teacher.
Yeah.
And you go. And that was it. And so luckily for me, I had taught English a lot. I mean, enough to do it in the past, coming to Japan when I would just come here for fun. And I taught English just to make a little money on the side. And so I just kind of went with my basic opening routine, and it worked out because I could be myself. I was prepared. So kind of have, and you develop, the more auditions you go to, you kind of develop these little things in your back pocket, these characters or these experiences that you've had. And you can, and as soon as you build, it's like you build a portfolio of different characters or different ways you're going to execute something. So if they tell you, we want this, oh, that kind of sounds like this thing that I've done before, this kind of mannerism or this kind of character that I have in my back pocket. So go to as many auditions, fail, and manage your expectations, because that would be a mistake I've made a lot. Going into auditions is just not being prepared. And that just means going to auditions because you learn, you develop you develop your own method of doing things. And like I said, you develop these characters that you can go to. Like I had English, luckily for me in that audition, I had English teacher guy. You know, I don't know what his name was. Maybe you can give him a name. You could give him a name, you know, but Kevin, the English teacher or something, you know, and you go to that guy. If you know, so that was a mistake I made going on, is that I just had no idea what I was doing. Like I had no idea what to expect.
So definitely, so it would be number one, don't act unprofessional. Don't go in with expectations, and
or manage your
expectation, and just don't be unprepared.
Come
in being prepared.
Don't be unprepared. Yeah, and that's part of the expectation thing. I guess, does that count as 3? Are we throwing that as a separate one?
Yeah,
I guess
I would count that as a 3. Definitely.
Okay.
Well, Wes, it has been a great interview. I appreciate you so much. You have no idea how much it means to me.
I appreciate it as well.
You're very welcome, Wes, to have you on the show, helping out people, because we're making unselfish content here, guys. We are really trying to help you guys understand the art of acting, voice acting, so you guys can become better actors. Wes, tell everyone what you're doing right now, what you can talk about, where they can find you, and all of that extra stuff that you want to go ahead and mention into this video as well. Yeah,
so I'm almost reluctant to mention it, but I'm actually working on a project of my own to look forward to.
Good.
Possibly on YouTube. I haven't decided what platform I'm going to launch it on. But what I'm looking at doing is an internet show.
Okay.
And it's fiction. Half true story, half fiction.
Okay.
And it's going to be a little different. It's going to be shot in black and white photos. Basically kind of picture like a comic strip kind of thing, but with actual photographs of the characters, and it's going to be in black and white, and it's going to be about Tokyo. Ooh. And this foreigner living in Tokyo, but the perspectives actually have some people that I'm collaborating with that are on the Japanese end. So it's actually going to be for both audiences, because it can be really difficult to do that because culture is so different and what people find funny. But something that everybody finds funny is everything that's kind of lost in translation and silly about being a foreigner living in Tokyo. And I don't want to give away too much about it, but I do have a title, and it's not a working title. It is the title. It's called Tokyo City Life.
Okay.
And I'm not going to tell you why. There's a joke in the name. Maybe you can figure it out. But if you pronounce city in katakana, It's a different pronunciation.
Oh, okay, it's a way
But,
different. Okay, I see where you're
yeah,
going.
yeah. I'll leave it to your imagination.
Okay.
But so it's just about, they're just gonna be like 5-10 minute episodes and about silly things that happen in Tokyo, and a lot of it's gonna be based on true stories and then probably exaggerated. That's a project I'm writing right now, so I'm hoping to maybe start actually doing some episodes by next year. We'll see what happens with that.
Okay.
You can find me on Instagram if you're interested, or if you even have questions. I'm a pretty open person. If you look Wing, WING _Wes, I believe that's my Instagram handle. That's how much but yeah, that sounds so bad, right? Yeah, follow me. I don't even know what my handle is.
How dare you, Wes?
Yeah, right. But I'm definitely looking to do more on Instagram in the future too, just because of the projects that I have coming. But I'm a little bit all spread out all over the place. But look for me on a TV drama. See if you can spot me on a Japanese TV drama, Hanzawa Naoki, that's coming out in April, I believe it airs. I don't know.
And tag you in it. Tag you in it when they're going to record.
Yeah,
it,
you can tag. Yeah, see if we can make it a game.
Okay.
Maybe
definitely.
you can hand out some prizes or something. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much.
The prize
what I'm
would
up
be
to right
you,
now.
Wes. Joking. Okay.
But if anybody has any questions about any experiences about Japan, how do I get into Japan? Like, what are some steps? I've helped people. I've given it some advice, which I think was good advice. I've been coming here since actually just a few days ago marked 8 years since the first time I came to Japan.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
got a lot of experience doing this, and yeah, if anybody ever is curious about getting started here, I can kind of point you in the right directions, the do's and don'ts.
For sure. All right, everyone watching at home, what has been something that you've learned about, in this video? What has your experience been like as an actor? I'm RileyChaseFox, helping you guys get motivated, encouraged, sending you into the right direction to become better actors, to become better voice actors. If you like this content, please do go ahead and subscribe. And if you do, click the bell to be notified whenever I upload a video. Again, if you do want to see more content like this, I'm going to go ahead and put a interview I did with professional voice actors Erica Harlacher and David Vincent. Erica Harlacher plays in a really popular movie that just came out. It's called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. She's also the voice of Elizabeth in Seven Deadly Sins, and she also plays the voice of On in Persona 5. If you want to check out David Vincent is very known for being the voice of Robin in Fire Emblem, as well as Super Smash Bros., the video game, very popular video game. He also does Senketsu and Kill la Kill, as well as being everyone's favorite Arankar, Green Jiao Jaggerjack. So if you guys want to check out those videos, go ahead. They will be on the side. Again, thank you guys for watching my video. I don't know why you guys do, but you do, and for that, I very much appreciate it. I am very thankful. I love you guys. I'll see you later. Again, thank you to Wes for being on this video, on the channel. We appreciate you so much, my good sir. Until next time, guys.
Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome, Wes, because I love you, man.
Oh, love you too.
See you later, guys.